Hello and welcome everybody to another PyConline AU News Desk update. Tonight I have a whole cast of fresh faces joining me for a bit more detail about our specialist tracks. That's right, tonight I have the amazing organisers behind DjangoCon Australia, Data Science and Analytics, and our Education Specialist tracks. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. So it gets a bit complicated having multi-directional online conversations. So I might say thank you to the team and we'll bring you back to stream shortly. But for now, I want to have a quick conversation with Marcus all about DjangoConAU. Marcus, it is really good to see you again on stream. It's been a while since I've seen you face to face, and it looks like you're delightfully outside. Tell me about whereabouts in the world you are right now.
Hi, Jack. Yeah, it's been about a year, I guess. I'm in Berlin, Germany, so that's northern hemisphere. That's summer right now. We have lovely 28 degrees or something outside, and yeah, it's sunny.
That's fantastic. And for the astute viewers, that's not Adelaide.
No, that's about 10,000 miles, 16,000 kilometers from Adelaide or Sydney.
What I love about having a virtual event like this is we can bring people such as yourself in and be part of the fantastic PyConline AU community and the specialist tracks. Now, that's a really cheesy segue into talking about DjangoConAU. Now, don't tell anyone, but DjangoConAU is one of my favorite specialist tracks. So why don't you tell me a little bit more about it and why people should get interested in submitting a talk to DjangoConAU?
Oh, Jack, I'm kind of flattered that you say DjangoCon Australia is your favorite conference, because it's definitely one of mine as well, and one of the reasons why I keep organizing it. So DjangoCon Australia now happens for the 8th time, and it's a conference, one-day conference about Django, the Python web framework, but it's not also only about Django. It's also about Python and web development in general in Python, and as a Python community and the Django community is very open to like other development ideas and approaches. It's been a historic thing for DjangoConAU to bring in ideas from outside the Django community. So we've had talks about Rust last year and Ruby, JavaScript. We had Drupal in the past and other Python web frameworks. And yeah, DjangoCon is a conference where the community, the Python Django web development community, gets together and talks about all these different topics and about all these, the whole point of web development and all the things you can do with Django.
I think that's a really important point to highlight. If you're joining the stream and it's your first time, you may have heard about us at some meetups throughout the last few evenings, where we've been really emphasizing that idea that our specialist tracks aren't exclusively just for the topics in which they're named, but really a lot of the encompassing ideas or ecosystems and communities around those sorts of projects. And I think DjangoConAU is a fantastic example of that, where I've seen you fully embrace web tech as a whole, and of course how it relates to Python and Django. So in your viewers, in your opinion, what are some of the things that viewers in this evening's stream should really take away from this, and what should they be excited about DjangoConAU?
Well, DjangoConAU is a conference with very specific talks on specific topics in and around the web development and environment. And while it's targeted towards Django, it's not just covering Django. So if you are looking for talks on Django, definitely subscribe to or attend DjangoCon Australia this year. If you have technology or experience, then also submit to our CFP, because we're still looking for talks. And if you have that tech experience or ideas how to bring Django forward, or how have experience with web frameworks outside the Python or the Django area, then and think there's value in there that Django should definitely embrace, or that would make Django better, please submit that as a talk as well. And when you submit a talk, then PyCon, or if you are thinking about submitting a talk but I'm not particularly sure about it and may need some help or want some advice, then the whole PyConline AU team has mentors available. And yeah, the only thing I can really ask you for is submit a talk, or not just one, maybe 2 or 3 or 5. Like, if you have good ideas, submit them.
The more talks that people submit, the more difficult it is for our papers committee to review that process. And trust me, that's a really good thing. In previous years, it's been a really difficult process to decide on the final cut for talks because there's so many fantastic ideas that get submitted. So I love that. So there's 3 key things that I heard you say. It's get excited about the tech and web in general. We do have mentors. So if you are submitting to a conference for the first time or you're a little bit nervous about an online presentation that's a bit different, we've got mentors. Reach out to us. You can go to pycon.org.au/speak. It's down there. There we go. And we can help you work on your CFP early and be encouraged to submit to the conference and to DjangoConAU. Marcus, this has been a fantastic chat, but we have some people waiting backstage to have a chat about data science and analytics. So thank you for joining me, Marcus. I will see you towards the end of the stream. And next up, I'm going to welcome Rachel to the call. Rachel, it's really good to see you. How are you?
Yeah, you too, Jan. I'm great, thanks. How are you going?
I'm fantastic. And now I want to open with a little secret. Data science and analytics is one of my favorite specialist tracks at PyCon, but the others can get jealous. So...
That's
great
to hear, because it's one of my favorites too. Just like education is pretty good, Django is pretty good, but yeah, it's always the science and data track that I end up hanging out at the most.
Absolutely. So for everyone viewing the stream, why should we be excited about the data science and analytics track?
It's just such a big area that's coming up. Like, there's so many directions that the track can take. Like, we've had in previous years, you have always the talks of like the nitty gritty, like new packages or doing like an overall comparison of all the visualization engines, because there's always something new coming up. But then you have the talks, people talking about the case studies and things just cool things they've done. And there's always those talks that make you think that, like, for example, privacy. Privacy is a huge thing that's coming up in this area, or implicit biases in machine learning algorithms. That's just all of this stuff we have to care about, and it's all in this one track.
That's a really good point. And one of the things I think I'm taking away from that is that one of the big moments about data science and analytics is some of those really cool but curious moments or examples from people, you know, who've done some of the work and lived in the trenches, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. But we want to make clear, we don't want talks just from the experts with 10 billion years experience doing all of these complex ML stuff. Like, we want to hear from everyone. Like, people who are newer to the area can give their own unique view on what happened, or what they think should happen, to people who are like from a different context. Like, science is part of our name. We want to hear from people who are working in science, and to see, or whatever area they're coming from and using data, to see what their concerns are, what they use data for, what can we learn from other areas.
Yeah. So some of the bullet points I've got here really sort of highlighted the tools, the processes, and the policies. Could you break that down a little bit for me, maybe to inspire some of our viewers as to talks they might want to submit?
Sure. Okay, let's look at it. So tools. So things like the cutting edge things, like what I've talked about a bit already: machine learning, the deep learning, the data visualization, interactive dashboards, but also foundation topics, because ML, that's been around for 20 odd years or something by now, but there's statistics and that have been hundreds of years, and there's still stuff we can learn from it. And newer ones too, like machine vision, natural learning. Processes. Anyone who's worked in any sort of data field knows that 80% of the job is basically cleaning up data and getting it available. We want to know what you do. Like, how do you get that data to you to work with, and then how do you hand it off to people? Because we don't work in vacuums. We have to work with various stakeholders, and how do we present data in such a way that they can make sense of it? And lastly, policies. So this comes back into the ethics, and it's not just how do we do the things we do, but why? What are our concerns? What are we hoping to do with it? ethics of data research is a huge thing now.
That's a really good breakdown. So for people that are considering submitting to the specialist track or to PyConline AU in general, what sort of tips or takeaways would you share with viewers over the next few weeks as we have our call for papers open, a call for proposals, I should say?
Number one, talk to, if you're a bit on the fence about it, or contact the mentors. There's a great team of mentors who are wanting to come help you refine your idea. And even if you don't think it is much of an idea, reach out, come and talk to us, and we can help you get that idea into something that could be really exciting. Submit early. There's a lot of talks coming, and you can always edit your talk after the fact. And I always find when writing talk proposals, I keep on thinking of new things to add in, and it's like, oh, but what if I change the name to be like this? That would be such a good name.
Absolutely. I'm the same in that regard.
Yeah. Don't ask me about changing names of talks 3 minutes before the CFP closes. Don't be like me. Do it early. Very important. And submit to both PyConline, the general track, and the specialist track. Data science and analytics might be the best track, but the other tracks are pretty good as well.
Look, the other tracks are really good. Thank you for joining us, Rachel. That's a fantastic segue to introduce the last of our specialist tracks this evening. Rachel, thank you for joining me. I will bring into the stream. I will bring into the stream Nikki and Amanda. Nikki, Amanda, thank you for joining me. How are you?
Hello. Fantastic.
Live
Really good.
editing on the fly never goes awkwardly at all.
No, seamless as always, Jack.
Seamless.
Magic.
Now, look, don't tell the other tracks. Bit of an in secret is that education track's one of my favorite moments at PyCon AU. And of course, it's going to be no different this year for PyConline AU.
Look, it's my favorite thing too, along with all of my other favorites, but definitely favorite. I'm really excited about it this year, and being online gives us a really fantastic opportunity, especially with an education focus, to include a bunch of voices that are just really difficult to hear from in an in-person event. So we're particularly excited about getting regional teachers, folks, anyone who's interested in education, and of course students as well, talking at the education track this year.
I love that angle, to really include a different cohort, because it's a different way to access the community in the conference. I really love that. I'm
Getting
excited
to
about that
PyCon
too.
is hard sometimes, but it's much easier when it's in your living room.
When you don't have to travel.
Hey.
Indeed. So, Amanda, can you tell me a little bit more about who should be interested in the specialist track for education?
Okay, so it's what we cover is anything that relates to teaching Python, it's secondary or tertiary. That's our jam. In the past, we've had teachers, we've had lecturers, we've also had some industry specialists sharing experiences, what worked, what didn't work. We all need to hear about cautionary tales. And so with using Python in the classroom, but also how to make Python work for them to make their lives and jobs easier.
So maybe I'll ask you, Nikki, with that in mind, what are some of your favorite moments from the education track over the last few years?
Probably can't say all of them, can I?
Not tonight, but maybe your top 2 or 3.
We've had like games and MicroPython, some really cool technical talks. I love I tried this and it's failed spectacularly talks, because you learn so much. Because it's such a diverse audience, there are so many good things about hearing talks about how to use Python in the classroom, outside the classroom, in an extracurricular activity. But really probably my favorite thing about the Education Showcase is the student showcase. So every year we get students, high school students, come in and share a cool thing that they've been working on. And that's been fantastic. Neural nets and dart shooting robots and natural language processing, speaking to my heart. So many fantastic, cool things.
Fantastic. Now, we'll touch on the student showcase in just a moment, but I'm really curious. Often we hear these topics and we go, oh, it's only for educators, for example. Is this only for teachers to attend?
It really isn't only for teachers. Teachers get a lot out of it, and it is geared towards education. But anybody who's interested in the education landscape and curriculum, so often we get quite a lot of parents and people who have children, but they're developers and want to hear about what's happening in schools, but then also people who mentor young developers and people that are learning the pitfalls and the promise of Python, and so what they're going to fall over at, what the misconceptions are, how to guide somebody through that landscape. That's another part of our audience.
And so then to maybe flip that question on its head, do you have to be a teacher to submit to talk?
No, absolutely not. So anyone who's interested in education, whether that's teaching, learning, or just doing cool stuff that they think would fit in an education environment, we want to hear from you. If you've got something to share, we really want to see a diverse set of people, and that means that they've had a diverse set of experiences with whatever Python and education is and how it can work together. And there's a fantastic mentoring opportunity as well. We can pair you up with someone who's done it before if you're not quite sure what you're going to say and how you're going to say it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I know that, you know, pivoting from in-person events to presenting to a very small webcam on top of my monitor here is a really, really different and challenging experience. And so if there's people out there who might have a really exciting story to tell, a lesson they've learned and they'd love to share it, we do have mentors available at PyConline AU this year to help you be the best presenter you can be. Now, you mentioned the student showcase earlier, and I remember seeing some of these moments last year, and it just put a massive smile on my face. Could you take a moment to tell me about the student showcase?
So we want to highlight some fantastic things that students are doing across Australia and beyond. This really started by a couple of teachers who encouraged their students to submit to the normal education track, and they were just fantastic. And we thought, let's make a thing of this. They're shorter pitches, usually about 5 minutes. And really, we just wanted to give a platform for students to say, hey, I worked on this thing. It's kind of cool, and I want to show it to you. It doesn't have to actually work 100%. We just want to see what students are doing across the country and beyond.
I will admit, they're really cool.
So cool. But don't think that you have to have a fantastic, amazing next level thing. We just want to hear what you're doing.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be in the classroom, and it doesn't have to, like, it could be from the classroom, or it could be a personal project that someone's just got passionate about. Either of those work.
Yeah, there's certainly a sort of infectious enthusiasm that comes from some of those talks and those showcases. I really love those moments. So quickly, Nikki, can you take us through a couple of the quick topics that people might think through in terms of submitting a talk to the education specialist track?
So we love hearing about classroom experiences or about extracurricular experiences, about how to teach particular topics, or what experience you've had with is object-oriented design right for high school students? How do I streamline working with modules? How do I even get Python installed on the computers that my school uses when I'm not allowed to install anything on them? Machine learning, really anything. Python for primary school students, right up to education in tertiary education. We want to hear any stories about education.
I love it. So are there any last messages or takeaways that you'd like to leave with viewers this evening? Amanda, I might pass to you on this one.
Yep. So first thing is, you do not need to be an expert. If we waited for only experts to present, nobody would ever present. So be excited about the thing that you've done and tell us about your experiences. We have mentors. You must know that you're supported through this. So if you head on down to pycon.org.au/speak, I'm pointing the wrong way, that way, and work on your CFP early and ask for help if you need it. We are expecting lots of people to submit their CFPs tagged with the education track, and we love sorting through and finding the absolute best ones for everybody.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Amanda. Now, before we bring everyone back to the stream, I just want to take a moment to talk to that specialist track moment for the student showcase. If you're a student watching this stream, or perhaps you know a student who'd be interested to submit to the conference, the normal CFP process is not the right place to do that just yet. So we're going to have some news about how to submit specifically to the Student Showcase, and we'll be sharing that over the weeks to come. The takeaway for you right now is that it will be happening. We're looking forward to it. We're really excited for it, and that we will get you some more details soon. Now, that's it for the education track. We've got some marvelous people backstage. I'm going to bring back Marcus and I'll bring back Rachel. So thank you so much for joining me this evening. This has been about a 20-minute video to talk to our wonderful specialist track organisers at PyConline AU. We heard about DjangoCon Australia from Marcus, about our data science and analytics from Rachel, and we've just been talking to Nikki and Amanda about the education specialist track. The astute viewers, however, will notice that we are missing two amazing groups of people, and that is our security and privacy and our DevOps specialist tracks. And that's because they'll be joining me next week, same time, same stream, for a similar exciting conversation about their specialist tracks. The big thing to take away from tonight's stream is that our CFP is open for submissions. Make sure you head down there to pycon.org.au/speak. Have a look at our CFP. Make sure you submit early and often, and we do have mentors. So if it's your first time presenting at the conference, or perhaps you're a little bit nervous about an online format and how that's different, we want to help you succeed and give the best talk you can. So make sure you go and submit early, reach out to us about the mentorship program, and I'm really looking forward to seeing all of your talks. Now, that's enough of me talking for tonight. I'm sure everyone's got a dinner or a family to get back to. So I'm going to leave you there. Thank you for joining me. And remember to go to pycon.org.au/speak. Good night, everyone.